What is... One more time. What's up, guys? So today we got a little install video for you guys on the new bike. Again, if you haven't seen it, 2020 Lowrider S. It is the daily. It is the only bike I have. But today we're doing an interesting video, something that I've actually been really excited to do for quite a while. Tidy up all this back area here. So we're going to be, well, let me show you. So we have the Moons Motorcycle Culture rear taillight that has integrated turn signals into it as well. So we're actually going to be getting rid of the stock turn signals. We also have a laydown plate from Custom Dynamics. Really awesome stuff from that company. Leave a link in the description if you guys want to check that out. It was a good quality piece. And then this is just a curved frame that I found just on Amazon. And all of the wiring and cable harnesses. Moons gives you that, but you got to order it special if you have a new 2018 Softail. So anyway, let's dive into the video, and I'll show you guys what we're looking at. All right, guys, so first things first, we're gonna go ahead and tackle the license plate frame here, just because I think that's gonna be the easier part to do. But I'm gonna come back over here, and this is the full kit from Custom Dynamics. Comes with everything you need. It's actually really nice. Give you this nice little gasket here so that you don't scratch up your fender, obviously the plate itself, and then multiple sizes of screws here, just in case you want to go longer or shorter when you put a frame on it, which is really nice. And then obviously the mounting bolts. Oh, don't forget to use Loctite. That's important. Always use Loctite on pretty much everything on your Harley. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is remove this stock bracket here. It's pretty simple. You gotta take this bolt off first. Good, don't drop it like that. But once you get this little piece off, that's kind of the first bit. The second part is a little bit tricky. You actually have to go in underneath the fender to get at where these screws are. You basically just kind of reach in under here, feel around a little bit, and you'll find them. Maybe use a shorter socket than I'm using, that might help. Give you a little bit more clearance. But start with the bottom two, because then this piece will come off really easily. And then the last thing you gotta do is go in, same thing, just the last screw that's in here. All right. Okay, guys, so I kind of realized as I was going along with this that I think it is going to be easier to just take the whole thing off in one go. That way I get it all done at once and button it all back up when it's done. So as you can see, I went ahead and took the seat off, sissy bar, I got it on a center stand here. So we're actually going to go ahead with the taillight section now. So first thing we got to do, we're actually going to remove these bolts here for the docking hardware, and that also is part of what holds the rear fender in place. So in order to actually get at the wiring harness for this piece, I got to do that. I'm actually going to remove the stock taillight first, and then we'll get the fender off, and then we'll keep going from there. Okay.
So removing the stock taillight, super easy. It's just 2 screws. Be a little delicate with it though. You don't want to break anything. You don't want the light to just drop out. But once you get it removed, remove the wiring harness as well, because like I said, Moons provides you a new one.
Also, just for comparison's sake, I just wanted to show you guys the difference between the size in these two taillights. I mean, like, look at that. That's huge compared to the new one. Anyway.
So the next thing you're going to do is remove the 2 strut bolts on either side so that you can actually maneuver the fender to have access to the underside of it. So remove both the bolts on either side. There's also a backing plate on the other side of the strut as well. Don't drop that, don't damage it, be careful with it. But once you get both removed on either side, you'll be able to maneuver the fender. Be careful with it. You don't want to scratch it on the struts, so just kind of be gentle. Don't like force it.
Okay guys, so the next thing we're gonna do is take out these turn signals with a T40 Torx bit. I only have this little Torx Allen. I recommend using a socket if you have one, but I don't, so we're stuck with this, which means it's gonna be a little bit less fun, but it's okay. And just like that, she is disconnected. Same thing on the other side. Barely enough clearance, there we go. So I wanted to go ahead and show you guys the turn signals are routed through the struts here, and they hook up to the wiring harness right up here. So since this new wiring harness is all integrated, I won't actually need to keep them, so I might end up cutting them if I need to. I got little snippers here, but just to be aware, this is where your turn signals hook up so that you can take them off. If you are planning on reusing the turn signal housings. Anyway, just wanted to show you guys that. Alrighty guys, so as you can see, I have both of the rear turn signals off now. I don't know if you guys can see up in there or not, that might be way too dark, but basically your wiring harness runs along the top of the fender. So the biggest thing after you deconnect it, or deconnect it, just pull it out, is make sure that it's really, really clean. That is gonna make the biggest difference as to the adhesiveness of it. Here, let me show you. So we've got the wiring harness, and it's got this 3M adhesive on it, but you really got to make sure that it's really going to stick well. You don't want that to come undone. So yeah, that's our next step, taking the main wiring harness out and putting the new one in.
So all I'm doing here is just cutting the little zip ties that hold the stock wiring harness in place. You might need to readjust the angle of your fender to be able to get enough clearance to do it, but after that, just pull the wiring harness out. It's just stuck to the bottom of the fender, kind of like the new one will be. It's pretty simple. After you pull it out, just really make sure you clean the underside of your fender, guys. You want a nice clean surface so that your new wiring harness will stick really well. After that, you just kind of measure it up. Give yourself enough slack on both ends. Obviously, you don't want to pinch any wires. That's important.
Make sure you hear that click. You don't want to have it come disconnected. Also, make sure you got some slack in there before you go ahead and stick it down.
You can see I'm just giving it one last little clean before I do the final stick. Like I said, really make sure it's gonna stick well.
There's also a little tab in here that you wanna make sure that you feed your wires under to keep it away from the wheel. And then yeah, when you find your spot, go ahead and stick it down. All right guys, that's stuck on there good and tight. That shouldn't be going anywhere. So now, let's get the fender reattached.
Like I said before, guys, be really careful with your fender when you're moving it. Be gentle, don't force it. If it's not fitting, just kind of take your time. You don't want to scratch it, you don't want to damage it, so just be careful. After that, return the backing plates to the underside of the struts so that you can put the bolts back in. That part's really, really easy. Just make sure it all lines up. Again, don't force it, just, take your time. And then once you get it in place, put the bolts back in. Don't forget to use Loctite as always. And once you're done, just make sure that you torque everything down to spec. So last step in assembling your new taillight is obviously just gonna be to plug it in. So make sure that you take your time with this too. Don't force anything into place if it's not fitting. Make sure you wait to hear it click, all of that good stuff. You gotta make sure it's in place so that it all, lines up. The other big thing to make sure here, after you get all of the plugs put in the right spots, don't button it up yet like you see me doing right here. Turn your bike on, make sure that all the wiring is attached in the right places and you didn't miswire anything. Make sure both turn signals work and your hazard lights. That's also important. And of course your brakes. Now, Moons actually has a really cool thing on this taillight. So it has a modulator, so you can see I'm hitting that little back button, and now when I hit the brake, it gives it this awesome modulation so that I can be even more visible at night. So after you check all the lights are working, don't forget to turn it back off before you actually button it all up. It's 2 screws again, don't over tighten it. It's all one piece, it's water sealed, but you don't want to crack it by over tightening the screws. So the last step for me is just putting on the new license plate frame. And I kind of breezed through this a little bit. I didn't exactly take my time to explain exactly what I was doing just because it was getting dark and I wanted to make sure that I could finish the video for you guys. So the order of assembly for this is the gasket first, obviously to protect your fender. Then you put the frame on, then you can put the bolts in. Don't tighten them all down all at once. Make sure that you tighten them evenly, go around each one, finger tighten it first. And then once they're all in place, then you can actually start torquing them down. But like I said, don't torque one bolt down all at once. Also, make sure to use Loctite. I'm actually using red Loctite because I don't plan on taking this thing off. You guys, I would recommend do the same.
All right, guys. So there it is. Turn it on so you guys can see the tail light. It's really bright. That's great. I think that's awesome, and I love when you hit the brakes, you get that little flicker effect. I think that's awesome. So the last thing I gotta do here, I'll come around to the other side so you guys can see this better. I'm a professional. So you can see these little holes here. I see a lot of guys that just kind of leave those open, but I have these little guys. I don't know if you can see that. So these are from a guy in San Diego. It's called Harry Customs. And he makes these like 3D printed awesome parts here. So got these cool block up plates. So here, I'm gonna stick these on so you guys can see what this looks like. Get it in focus there. You need to see what I'm doing. Pop that in, and it fits totally flush. So yeah, guys, that's what the new back end's looking like. More reveals when it's not so dark, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.